نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Ya bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. O children of Adam, take your utmost beautification for every prayer. Whenever you come to the prayer place or prayer time or for sajda, do that in the best form. Your zina, take your beauty, beautify yourself for the prayer. So, whatever is appropriate as a social norm, something which is standard, not casual but formal, something which is appreciated. So, if you go for interview, if you go for taking and asking for a proposal from your future spouse, then whichever way you think you should behave with regards to your clothing, that is more or less in Islamic culture the beauty, the zina that you would take. That is why the norm of the society, the norm of the pious people of the society takes a lot of, you know, emphasis and stress in Sharia. We accept that as the norm, whatever people generally accept as the norm. So the norm is the Imams, the pious people of the past and of present, they would try to cover themselves in the best clothes. Even today, you would not find ulama, the Imams, the leaders of the masjid, leading prayer in short sleeves. Especially the ulama who are the heirs of prophets from generation after generation have maintained the utmost propriety. They have kept that adab, that manner. And whoever honors the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah says in Quran, وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever shows the respect to the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is the sign that they have piety in themselves. This is the piety of their heart, which is being reflected in their external action. The action being showing respect. So when you show respect to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, masjid, for prayers, for adhan, for Quran, then this is a manifestation of your taqwa outwardly, as Allah says in Quran. So now when you come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should be behaving in the best way. You should purify yourself. You should purify your clothing. You should try your best to be in the decent clothes, something which you could go out to meet with people in those clothes, something that would not make you feel embarrassed if someone of stature comes to meet you. So, in clothes that you are there, if you want your in laws, future in laws, to come and look at, or someone who's going to interview, look at, then yes, fine. If you are happy with that, but then you need to look at what the general understanding of the ulama, of the pious people of the time is, because they maintain that orthodoxy in everything, because they are the heirs of prophets. So if you find them in those clothes, then you know that this is the best clothes that they are wearing. The style that they have adopted is the Sunnah way. So anything that you would deviate from according to their standard is going to be disliked generally, unless it is categorical haram. For example, to wear clothes which would show your aura, then that's obviously haram. Something which is permissible, like short sleeves, but not the way it should be done, not the best that you could have done. because to have short sleeve hasn't got any advantage. So why one would insist on having short sleeve when they can afford to have longer sleeves? Now, if it was Sahaba time or the time when people did not have access to extra clothing, they just had one sheet to cover their top and bottom. So they would just wrap themselves in one sheet. So obviously, many a time they would not even have covered their top part. The chest is being open as well while praying. In today's world, even for those who have short sleeve and they come to the masjid in short sleeve and they find it completely okay and not disliked, ask them, would they allow people to come and let them pray in the masjid or even lead people in prayer as imam without their top? Would you allow that? Would you allow your friend to come and visit yourself and your family and your parents, your sisters, your mum, when they're not covering their top part? The chest is open, uncovered. That's not norm even for today, even for the standard of current times. And this is what dislike means. Dislike is something which goes against the norm of the people who have some respect, some honor. So if it is religious matter, then it has to be ulama, what is normal and standard for ulama. This is how Sharia is maintained for 1400 years. If we keep changing according to how people feel, slowly and slowly you would see the things would become completely lopsided. You would not be able to maintain the Sharia. This is how other religions got completely corrupted and changed according to the desires of people. They've lost almost everything of Sharia now, according to their Sharia. It's in the books, but they can't practice it because people dictated it to be easy, comfortable, how they feel like doing, more than what should be the norm. So the norm should always be dictated by the specialist in the area. And there's no monopoly, obviously. You can become alim as well and then maybe set up new trend with your scholars and group of scholars. But you have to follow the orthodoxy. This, those who are in orthodoxy line, those who are inheritors of prophets, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this case, and Sahaba, they would never deviate from the mainstream. They would always stay on the path because that's the path we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every prayer. Ya Allah, guide us to the right path, the path of those whom you favored. So we want to be on that path, the path of favorites of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are Anbiya, Siddiqeen, Shuhada and Salihin as per Quran. So on both accounts you would find that whatever is not appropriate in the eyes of ulama generally is disliked in the current time. It doesn't matter what common people think. It doesn't matter how you feel about it, how I feel about it. It is how ulama look at this thing. Is that the norm? What if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was present today and the ummah was such that they had access to not one, many shirts and their thawbs and many different garments they can wear for different occasions. Now with that, what would have Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted Sahaba to be wearing if they had access to those clothes? He would suggest them to wear short sleeves or full sleeves. You need to decide that. But the ulama have already decided that he would want it to be below the elbows, cover it nicely, make it decent, so it looks a bit more professional, it looks a bit more serious matter. Prayer is a serious matter. You're coming in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is way important than your job interview or your proposals. Rather, it is the ultimate, you know, facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the meeting we are talking about. So it must take a lot of responsibility and emphasis on the nitty gritty of everything. Yes, if one doesn't have any clothes, Then, to be honest, even naked one can pray, sitting down at home, and they haven't got any clothes. They're so poor that all they need to do is to just sit down on the ground and pray all prayer without any clothes on. Do you think, but that's okay for someone who has the clothes? Obviously not. Their prayer is invalid. You have to cover your satar when you have it. If you just have enough to cover your satar, your nakedness, then that's enough. Then forget about half sleeve, even top is uncovered is okay. But if you have means to cover yourself properly, do in the best way. خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد. Take your beautification, your beauty, prepare yourself for each prayer. Whenever you come to the masjid, whenever you do any act of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of prayer. I hope that clarifies it.